So here it is. A salary, a wage, or an income is the amount of money you receive for the work you do. Okay, no news there. In some job, pay is calculated by the hour. Right? Pay is calculated. So now we're just going to focus on the hourly wages. Okay, while other jobs offer an annual income paid weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Right. So there could also be an annual income which is paid. It depends on the, like teachers, we get paid twice a month, okay, in this division. Then there's something called the gross pay. Right? Gross pay is the amount you make before deduction. Deductions will be discussed in section 2.4, so that we'll not worry about just yet, okay? But I will ask you to add a few things on the side here. So there's the gross pay. And if you think you're going to forget that, which there's a high chance that's going to happen, right? You should have this maybe written down on your study sheet, right? The gross pay is the total amount of money earned before deductions. So I'm just going to highlight money earned before deductions, also called gross earnings or gross income. Okay. There's gross earnings, gross income is all the same thing. Deductions, on the other hand, think of discount or deduction like it's going down. It's money taken off paycheck, right? Money taken off your paycheck. And that's basically what I want you to remember. And that goes to pay taxes, union fees, pension, if you have a health plan, right? It might be that there's a health plan that you're enrolling in for dental care. Your parents might actually have that, right? And so there it is. So net pay, what is net pay then? Net pay, which is to be discussed later, is going to be gross. Hold on, I'm going to run out of room here. Give myself more room, okay? Net is equal to gross minus deductions. This is where we're going towards. Right now, we're going to focus on this. Focus on this for now. Okay, but later on, we're going to focus on the net pay. That's all our ultimate goal. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, this is chapter 2. We're now on page 4. And before we do this example, I will give you some notes on the page right after this. Okay. I wasn't able to insert a page before this without moving everything over. So go to page 5. You should have one of these in there. Okay. And write this down. We'll basically fill up this page. Okay. Per hour. Example, $12.50 per hour. To find the gross pay, we use, we're chapter 2 on page 5, whoever is joining. Okay. So I will give you that formula again. Gross pay is equal to hours worked times your hourly wage. Using this formula, okay? Obviously, if you know these two, you can just multiply them and find out what your gross pay is. But what if I give you the gross pay and maybe the hours worked, and I ask you, what is your hourly wage? Okay, so I'm going to give you a trick here, okay? Think of it as, and you might see this again in grade 11 actually, if depending on who teaches you. You're probably hoping that it's not me, right? I know you're thinking that. Okay, so the gross pay, right? The gross pay is equal to the hours worked times the wage. Okay? So I'm just gonna highlight where those letters come from. G for gross, hours worked, and the W comes from the wage there. Okay? So if you use this pyramid, it can actually help you figure it out. So these two are multiplying here. This times this. So for example, let's say you want to find what the gross pay is. You would cover that up. And what are you left with? Hours times the wage. Okay? However, if you want to find the hours worked, that means I would probably have to give you that, right? You go gross pay divided by the wage, and then you would find the hours worked. So I would say hours worked is equal to, see how gross pay is always on the top here? So you go gross divided by wage. Okay, yeah, it happens to me too. Can you move the page up? I haven't finished writing the part. Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, go ahead and write this down. I'm going to give you this other one here. Are we done copying all the way? Yeah, okay. I'm just going to wait a bit. So maybe while you're waiting, make this a capital W here, right? Hourly. If you're not highlighting, right, the capital W there, capital H here, capital G, so that you know that that's what these letters stand for, right? So if you want the hours worked, you would go cover that up, and then you go gross divided by W, by wage. If you want to know the wage, right, notice that the gross pay is always there on top, and you divide it by the hours. I'm going to box these in. Okay, Josiah, page 5 of your booklet. I will move on though soon, so if you missed this, just go back later and watch the video, okay? I don't know when you joined, if you just joined now or if you went in and out. Chapter 2, booklet chapter 2, page 5. Okay, so these essentially, there are three formulas. This one, which I already gave you earlier, I boxed it in earlier, so I'm going to box it in. So these three formulas are very important when you're working with hourly anything. Everything in this section, it will help you, okay? So I'm going to continue. This is also something you need to know. And some of you say, yeah, I know this. No worries. A year has 12 months. It has 52 weeks. It has 365 days. Right? But there are some subdivisions. There are 12 months, but there are 24 semi-monthly periods. Okay, so semi-monthly means it's twice a month, right? Twice a month, so that would be 24 in a year. There are 26 bi-weekly periods. I would strongly recommend, if especially these two students forget these two here, but I would just write all of this down. And probably don't make up too much room on that, but it can be a deal breaker. Okay, so a year has either 12 months or 24 semi-monthly periods, 26 bi-weekly periods, 52 weeks, 365. All of these are still referring to 1 year. Okay. 26 bi-weekly periods, yeah. Is that good, Carter? Just gonna see here. Okay, so here are some questions. Just dealing with this particular case because it doesn't happen very often, but students, there's a thing I need to clarify when it comes to finding your. I will add here a word actually. So copy those two questions, and if you can do them already, go for it. Calculate her yearly or annual income. They're the same thing. That's why I put them next to each other. You need to know they mean the same. Okay? So I'll go over them in a bit. Okay, so because I only see you once a week and usually it's just busy all the time, right? You need to make sure you try examples when I tell you to try them at home, right? I'm not going to be on your case, right? Because I don't know if you're doing it or not. But it's very important that you try them so you figure out what is it that I'm not getting, okay? I'm stuck, okay, then come with that question, highlight it, and ask me in class if you come to class, okay? Or email me, right? Okay, so when you earn this much per week, right, you should know that there are 52 weeks per year, okay? So that's something you should either look it up or just know it right away. So to find the yearly or the annual income, they mean the same thing. So you would just go yearly is going to be $750 times 52 weeks, right? And I'm going to use my calculator here. And that's 39,000. Okay, 39,000 per year. That would translate to. Okay. Now it's asking for B to calculate her average monthly income. So how would you do average monthly? Why does it say average? Because you don't make the same amount every month. I don't know if you've worked part-time before, and I'm not sure how many of you have had like a legit job other than helping at home or mowing the lawn for your neighbors or whatever. But not every month has the same number of weeks. Okay. The assumption is, oh, how many weeks, like if I ask you in class here, how many weeks does a month have on average? You would say 4, right? And that is true. It's 4 full weeks, but there's always a couple of days yet here and there, and it catches up to you. So think about it this way, right? If there are 52 weeks and there are 26 bi-weekly periods, right? Not so some people think if it's bi-weekly, oh, it's just twice a month. No, you actually get an extra 2 paychecks compared to getting actually paid twice a month. So bi-weekly, there are certain months where there are 2 times in a year where you're gonna make an extra paycheck, which is kind of nice. So what you do here is to get the average monthly. In this case, we would just go 39,000 divided by 12. So you take the 39,000 divided by 12 and you get 3250. Okay? We're on chapter 2 booklet with chapter 2 on page 5 right now. I saw somebody joining there. I'm not sure who it was. So this is what it is per month on average. It is not 750 times 4 weeks. Because what if you did this, what would it be? 750 times 4. That's actually going to be exactly 3,000. This is wrong. Okay? So this is a note. Don't fall for it. Always get the yearly amount and divide it by 12. Don't just go times 4 and get it. Sorry, this should be month. It shouldn't be like that. Okay? Now we're going to do some examples. I gave you a bunch of notes. Now we're going to dig into some examples, okay? So this example here was just to practice the number of weeks and months and stuff that you have in a year, okay? More so than anything. Okay? So again, if you just joined chapter 2, page 5. Okay. So notice that you actually make more on average than just 4 times. It's because of a month has a little bit more than just exactly 4 weeks. Okay, that's why. Okay, so we're going to go back to 4 where we started, and now we're going to answer these questions. Okay, so we're going to call this A. We're still going to do B and C underneath it. Okay, so don't use up too much space. I'm going to box this away like that. So I'm going to add questions. It's way too much room for us to not add more. Okay, so we're back to hourly wages here. Marcus works as an electrician and he earns, this is on page 4, right? 24.68. It takes him 15 hours to do a job. How much will he earn? Right? How much will he earn is what we call right now the gross pay, because no taxes will be taken off. It's the same thing, okay? So if I ask you calculate the gross pay, or in a different questions like calculate how much this person will earn, we're talking about the same thing right now. It's like just find out how much you would be earning. So gross pay is going to be the hours worked, which is 15, times the wage, which is 24.68. Okay? It's 24.68 an hour, and the gross pay there is 370.2. That's what the calculator says. But it's a dollar amount, so you have to add the 0 here. Watch out for that. Okay. So this is how much you would earn in that case. As easy as that. And notice again, I'm just going to do this quickly here. It doesn't take much, right? Gross pay is hours times wage, okay? It doesn't matter if you put wage then hours or hours and wage. That really doesn't matter as long as gross pay is at the top of the pyramid. So we wanted to find the gross pay. What do we need to do? Multiply hours and wage, okay? That's what we did here. So for B, Nick earned $312.50 last week. If he worked 25 hours, calculate his wage. Go ahead and write that down. That's right. It's a pretty good hourly wage if you ask me. I would say that is low for a fully licensed electrician. I would say it's more in the 40s right now. Okay. Nick earned 312.50 an hour. So this is what I call right now the gross pay. Like that big amount that you've earned is what we call the gross pay. Okay. So I'm going to identify that as G, and you work 25 hours. That's obviously H. They're asking for wage, right? So this is my unknown. Okay. So basically, you're going to say, if this is the one I don't know, let's make it disappear in this pyramid. So I have to take my gross pay and divide the number of hours, right? Divided by the number of hours you've worked to find out your wage. So you do this, wage is equal to gross pay over hours. Write down the formula maybe, which is going to be 312.50 divided by 25. And that is 12.50 per hour. That's the wage right there. And as you're writing this down, I'll just give you a little fact. My first job working full-time was at Kitchen Craft. They make kitchen cabinets. Oops. And I was earning $7.50 an hour. That was the minimum wage back then. And I know you hear a lot of stories where people tell you, oh no, but back then that was a lot of money. You could buy, with 5 cents, you could buy, something significant. No, it was still not a lot back then. So I don't know. Those stories, I sometimes wonder who makes them up, right? Minimum wage is usually not the greatest. But you have to start somewhere, right? You have to start somewhere. Nothing wrong with earning minimum wage. Okay, so here it says, I'm reading it so in case you can read some of the words, right? Emma's gross pay is $545 and earns $15.60 per hour. How many hours did she work last week? use the pyramid right now. See if you could use the pyramid right now to help you with this particular case. I know some of you is just like, oh, I just do it in my head, right? Like, no, you need to show your work, right? This is the tool that I've given you. So obviously this is the gross pay, that'd be G. This is the hourly wage, so that's W. So they want, right, hours. That is my unknown. So you go cover hours here. So it's gross pay divided by the wage. So to get hours, you would go gross divided by wage. Notice that gross pay is always in the denominator, in the numerator when you're doing questions like these. And that would be 545 divided by 1560. And that is 34.94. No, sorry, dollars. It's asking for hours, right? Feel like something might have made a mistake. No, okay. So that's 34.94 hours, which doesn't make much sense, right? But you can, it's possible, right? If a company pays you down to the minute, that it's 3.94 hours, okay? And just to make sure you understand, up here they ask you for gross pay. Let's do that here. This is your wage. This is the amount of hours you've worked. They were asking you for G, right, which is unknown. So to come up with this formula, you covered up G, and that's the only time where all you do is multiply the two, right? So G was really H times W, and that's how we came up with this and solved it there. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna pause for a bit and let you do some work. So I will tell you which ones to work on, okay? I can come back to this, but for now I want you to move on to page 6. Okay, so here it is. Do page 6, 7, and 8. But there's a catch. 8 at the bottom has a different example, like the time. Don't do example 5 at the bottom of 8, right? So I'll say stop at question 8 on page 8, right? So that's what I want you to work on right now, these pages. So everything that's on these pages except for on page 8, do not do question 8, or don't go past question 8 where there's an example, okay? So I will let you do that and read carefully, okay? See what are they asking me for. But I'm telling you that you now know everything you need to know to answer these questions, okay? So go for it. Get a decent calculator, okay? And if you're done, maybe get your study sheet and start copying some stuff on there, okay? So I'll be back in a bit. Just hang in there, okay?